Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is The Interview. And today on the show, we have an amazing person blessing us with information and so much more. Cameron Carpenter from the Do It Together community. This is going to rock. We're going to kick off with a song by Brad Example called Little Birds. Oh, yeah.
Same old story. He's getting old and lives alone in a brick house. Down the road from me and never goes out. Waiting by a phone that never rings. He had a bird once, and every day his bird would sing a sweet song. Never flew away until one day it sang one final love song. And he loves until his heart broke. And he cried sometimes when the little birds sang their lonely love songs. Stares out the window down the road from me and watches the kids play. It's an old oak tree that stands between their homes with roots tangled in the clay. And the tears roll down a face that only tears have ever known. And all this time reflecting back a past could have fallen from an old man's nameless eyes. And he loves until his heart broke. And he cried sometimes when the little birds sang their lonely love songs. And he loves until his heart broke. And he cried sometimes when the little birds sang their lonely love songs. Same old story. We're getting old and live alone in these brick homes. The curtains close and life goes on to the sound of a lonely bird's love song.
Oh, Brad Example, there he is, the one and only. You know him, you love him. He's a big feature around this community. He's done it all. He's a psychopath, came to my house, nearly got thrown out of a boat. He's just a lunatic. And when he's wearing clothes, you're in shock when you see him. That's just Brad example. If you know him, you know. If you know, you know. That is the thing. Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Jade, and this is the interview. I hope you're all doing well out there. Friday morning here in Australia, Thursday for the rest of you, especially our guest. And let's get straight to it. So, before we jump in, of course, I have to do the stuff because the stuff helps pay the bills, doesn't it? Today's show is sponsored by our good friends at DistroKid. You can get your music out to streaming services through DistroKid. How do you do it? Well, you just sign up. It's $24.99 annually. If you use my code distrokid.com/VIP/JadeStar, you get 7% off your first year, and you can release how many songs you like. In fact, last week's episode, I released 2 songs on an episode, a cover of Counting Crows and an original song with Brad Example. Easy as that. You watched it. Go back if you haven't seen it. Watch the episode last week and see how easy it was for me to release music through DistroKid. You get unlimited songs, unlimited lyrics, Spotify check marks, and royalty splits and all this kind of stuff. There's 3 tiers, $24.99. For the basic, there's the $44.99. You get 2 artists with that one. And there's the one I'm on, which is $89.99 for people who have too many bands that they can't even count. That is me. Let me make sure there's no echo coming through for our guest. Turn that off. So, DistroKid, you can get your music out there. Spotify, Apple Music, all the places, YouTube, all that stuff, and it's super easy, and we love DistroKid. I have been using them way before they started sponsoring this show. In fact, probably about 6-7 years beforehand, and very thankful for DistroKid for sponsoring this particular show. Get your music out. What are you waiting for? It's that easy. Alrighty, let's get to it. This particular person who we have on here today, Cameron Carpenter, a veteran of the Canadian music industry, having held senior positions at Quality Records, MCA Records, BMG and Sony Music and A&R, marketing, artist relations and international. He was on the team that brought XM Satellite Radio to Canada and has worked at Indie Week and NXNE. Cameron has also worked as a freelance journalist and artist manager, booker and publicist. You name it, he's done it. And if you want to get some information, probably this is the best place to be if you're an artist who wants to hear a little bit more on how to do things. We're going to talk about his venture, Do It Together Community, which is just really cool, free and no bullshit, no catches, no, what's that? I shouldn't say their name. You know those places that say, hey, put your music up here, and then just pay us an extra $5 here, pay us another $12 here, pay us another $35 here, give us all your money, and guess what? Nobody's going to hear your music. It's not one of those, all right? I wouldn't have one of those on here. So let's bring him on. Without further ado, welcome everybody in the chat. You know the deal. I'll call you all out in the next 20 minutes or so, but let's get our guest on and stop wasting time like I always do. Ladies and gentlemen, everything right? We got all our buttons. It is Cameron Carpenter. Woo. Hello.
Good morning, Jade, and good morning, Australia. Great to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. Like I said to you when we first briefly caught up this morning, time is valuable, yeah? And I never want to take too much from people. So I know the industry that you work in is, you know, it's valuable time. And when I have someone on like you, I'm going to listen.
Okay, thanks for that.
Because I don't know it all, you know, and that's it. I'm going to hit you with, normally I'll hit you with the same question I hit everybody with, but this thing is on my mind. And I just want to jump straight out the box and ask you with this. What are your thoughts on AI generative music?
It's interesting with the controversy that's going on right now. Is that band AI? Was it Wild Sound or something? Are they AI? Aren't they AI?
They are.
AI doing it.
They've admitted it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then there's been other sides of the story too that maybe they aren't. I don't know. I can't follow it. I haven't listened to much AI music. I do use AI for other things, for scheduling and stuff like that. But I don't think at this point in time it's going to replace real music. Because it has no soul yet.
True. I believe the same thing. I don't think it's going to replace. I think you're always going to be able to tell. And the big controversy is at the moment with the Velvet Sundown. That's what they're called. And they've come out, they've said, yes, it was all AI. And, nobody needed to know. I think it's just an interesting thing because, like this show is sponsored by DistroKid. A lot of people put a lot of hard work into music, and the way they gather this music for AI is by scraping the internet and taking all of our music to put together this music. So the controversy is real, and I just don't know where it's going to end up, because last year I started doing shows on AI music, showing it, and then this year looked at it again and went, oh my God, it's got so much better. It's scary.
How quickly it's progressing is absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
Like by this time next year, God knows what it'll be able to do.
Yeah. Totally. All right, so I'll get to the normal questions. Cameron, what does music mean to you?
Wow, that's a big, broad question to start with.
Straight
music is my life, and it has been since I was about 10 years old, and buying 45 singles and going to see bands, and becoming lucky enough to become part of this industry without being able to play a note on any instrument, and making a life out of it. It's everything.
I find that incredibly interesting about the industry, that because I've known lots of people here in the Australian music industry, and they've never played a note, sung a note, picked up a guitar, and I think, well, all right. So I'm sure there'd be people out there who'd ask this. So what makes you an X? How do you know what's good music? Have you had that question before?
Not that pointed, but I can just tell with my gut.
Yeah.
When I hear a song, if it's got potential. I saw 10 bands last weekend. I'm still going out all the time. I can tell immediately if a band or an artist has potential just by looking at them and listening to them. It's just very instinctive. I couldn't even tell you how many records I've listened to and how many shows I've been to over the course of 45 plus years in this business.
What about spotting a really shit band?
Well, yeah, that happens. I can tell if someone's terrible right at the beginning, but I won't necessarily tell them that. I might say, you're not. No, I'll be the nice guy.
For sure.
I will say, maybe there's one song that's decent and needs work, or maybe they're just too young. Maybe they can't play. It's like, you need lessons, you need a vocal coach, you need a stylist, you need a bunch of things. But if it's your passion and you have talent, don't give up.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm all about that too. So let's go back in time a little bit. When a tiny, small Cameron Carpenter, not long out of the womb, hearing music. And do you recall the music that you listened to when you're a little kid in the house that your parents played? And who were some of those artists, and have they stuck with you and driven the music you like today?
My family didn't play a lot of music. I had an older sister who played, Cat Stevens, James Taylor, Joni Mitchell, stuff like that. So I rebelled against her very early. And my first bands were bands like the New York Dolls, the Stooges, Mott the Hoople, Sparks, Queen, very into glam. Bowie is probably, I think, the most brilliant artist of my generation, bar none. And I started writing for my high school paper, and then I started writing for a bunch of magazines when I was a teenager, and hanging out at record conferences, and finally got a job when I was 18 as a publicist at a record label, and that started the whole thing.
Wow. I'm always interested in these origin stories, how people get into the industry, but we'll stay on music influences. Do you remember the first album that you purchased with your own money and was given to you as a gift, and maybe not necessarily what you wanted?
I think the first, and this is really embarrassing, it might have been a Chuck Berry album that had My Ding-a-Ling on it.
Oh, yes.
I just love that song.
My Ding-a-Ling for the win. What a great song.
And then early when I got into rock, like Goat's Head Soup was probably the first Stones album I bought when I was like 12 or 13 when it came out. And then, yeah, as I said, like New York Dolls. The New York Dolls sort of changed everything for me. They were just so outrageous, and it was a great honor to actually interview them quite a few times and get to know Syl and David, and just a huge influence on on everything, the whole punk scene. If it wasn't for the Dolls, there'd be no Ramones. If there was no Ramones, there wouldn't be the Clash. Just the lineage from the Dolls forward was incredible.
That is a very fascinating thing. The way one genre or one band kicks off everything and then it develops and develops. I'm a big metalhead. Yeah, I've been metalhead since I was young, and Slayer and all those bands. But all those bands came from bloody punk. And I remember a lot of metalheads when I was younger saying, it'd be like, I don't really listen to much punk, and people would, the opposite way around. People would say, I don't listen to much punk. I'm like, you do realize Slayer came from punk? I'm like, no, that's not.
As did Motorhead.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Motorhead, no question.
Absolutely. Most metal came from punk. It was the offshoot of it.
My metal years were like Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, Yes. I remember seeing AC/DC open for UFO in Toronto at Massey Hall. Like, I loved UFO, and that was the first time I ever saw AC/DC. So
AC/DC. Are you a fan of AC/DC that big outside of Australia?
Oh, they're huge in Canada. I'm not a fan. I never really was, in all honesty.
I'm not either. I can't stand them. people jump on me all the time.
Don't say that, but
I don't know. I think
they're about to huge tour down there as well, right?
Well, yeah. The difference is, I mean, you would have this in Canada too. Like, Americans would have this, Australians have this. We have we call them bogans here in Australia. Maybe you call them trailer trash in America. But that style of music, AC/DC, is very much associated in Australia with the cigarette smoking, yeah, shut up, Sharon, you bitch, that kind of boganish thing. So
we'd call it hoser or hoser rock. If you're a hoser, you're a trailer park cigarette, beer swilling,
yeah. Well, and that's what AC/DC is like meshed with here. So I've never got into it because of that whole thing. You go out and hear it and just go look around and go, geez, these people are horrible. Get me out of here. So was there ever a hunger for you to want to pick up music and grab a guitar and do any of this, maybe when you're at school or anything like that when younger?
I did. I wanted, I got a bass because I thought it would be easier, and I gave up after about 2 months. I tried singing in one band for, a couple shows, and it was just like, I haven't got it. I think musicians have a natural not inbred, but just a natural ability to play. Like, some people can play every instrument. My son's a good drummer, but he can also play piano. My daughter can sing, she can play piano. He could pick up any instrument. So there's so many people like that, and you either have it or you don't. I just don't have the coordination.
Yeah. Hey, it is what it is, All right, so I wanted to focus on like the industry for a bit, because I've played music in the industry, on the music industry for a long time, and earned money from it and toured and been overseas and dealt with had record labels, got screwed by a record label, been ripped off completely, lost all my work, done all the things that you do wrong. Do you think that's a good thing for people to go through that and make those mistakes?
I think it's a learning curve, and the industry has changed so much since I worked for the labels. Like, you can do everything by yourself now.
Yeah.
You don't need a label. You don't need an indie label. You can do it all yourself. You can, as we said, you can record on your iPad, go put it out through DistroKid, work it hard enough, and if the song's good, and that's the bottom line of everything, and it's never changed in music since, the 1600s, a good song is a good song.
Yeah. I was watching a video last night on YouTube about gear and this debate on like how important it is to have gear and all this stuff. I guess you can have all the gear in the world, but if you suck, you're fucked.
You suck.
So you're just sitting in a room with a whole bunch of gear.
Yeah, and I think another thing to note is you can't buy your way into this industry. People will come to you with deals, as we were saying before. We can get you 5,000 playlists. We can get you in this blog. We can get you here. We can get you there. We can get you opening for major bands. That's all bullshit. And if anyone asks you for money up front for any of those things, it's not real.
Yeah, look, this is it's important, I think, to talk about this stuff because we, at the end of the day, all people like to be buttered up and told that their stuff is good. If you put work into anything, whatever it is, if somebody tells you it's good, you feel good. Like, that's the thing. And when you get these emails and these people reaching out to you, I compare it to being in Thailand. When you go to Thailand and you walk around Bangkok, say, Thai people are very to themselves. And if anyone ever walks up to you in Thailand and says, hey, would you like to find out and come to a temple and go to a temple? That is the same deal as somebody sending you an email saying, hey, we can get you on a bill with a bunch of these bands. If they're approaching you like so aggressively, it's normally a red flag.
Yeah. And it's so easy to research any of these companies too. You could just put it in AI and ask questions. You'll get the answers and you'll see it's a scam. Or go on Reddit or whatever you use down in Australia, and you'll hear the horror stories.
Yeah, and there's quite a few of them here in Australia too. There's one in particular, I'm not going to name them, of course. They've been running for years and years and years, and they just keep getting away with it. Every year they put out the call, and a whole bunch of new artists pay their $500 or whatever is going to happen out of this, and then they never hear anything back. It causes problems for legitimate people who actually want to help. Like, is this something that you're coming up against running what you're doing now with the Do It Together community?
Not so much on DIT, Do It Together, but in my other facets, in publicity and stuff, people will come to me and say, well, I've got these promises and all I have to do is pay that. It's just like, as a publicist, number one, I can promise you absolutely nothing. I will get you lots of things, but I can't actually promise. If I could promise, that means I'm paying someone to run that story or play that record.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did you get your foot in the door of actually interviewing? Was it journalism that got you started? And how do you break into this kind of thing?
I broke in, as I said, writing for a high school paper, and then I did a lot of record shopping at a place called Record on Wheels, and they would give me records to give away. And I'd get the occasional interview with an up-and-coming band, but then a major magazine called The New Music started in Canada, and I applied not for a free subscription, but to be one of their writers, and I got a call one day saying, can you go down to Buffalo and interview REO Speedwagon?
Oh, wow.
Because we'd like to see if you can write. So I went down to Buffalo. I got picked up in a car with some of the people from CBS Records and got taken to Buffalo. Ended up having Cheap Trick as the opening act, who I fell in love with, and did a huge interview with Cheap Trick and sort of dismissed REO Speedwagon. And the Cheap Trick story was in the first issue of the magazine. And then I ended up writing for the next, I think they had 18 issues altogether over the course of the next 2 years. I became one of their writers. So I was getting interviews left and right. And that got me on the radar of record companies. And one of the labels was looking for a publicist and came to me, and that's how it all started.
Wow. I'm not saying that's your story's common or anything, but a lot of people did start out making fanzines when they were younger and doing this kind of stuff. I had a fanzine when I was young at school. It was called The Cutting Edge. It was terrible, photocopied, awful. Staples would come out. But we interviewed Slayer. So we thought we were awesome.
Yeah. I love that whole scene, from 76 to, 82 in the punk scene. And then it followed in the metal scene as well. It's just, stapled together, 32 pages. But great opinionated writing of people who are passionate about that genre and would turn you on to a ton of new music and great bands.
Do you think, where we are at the moment with the music industry, like, this is, of course, just my opinion, that pop music's fluff, it's shit, it feels almost close to AI to me because every video clip has product placement in it and stuff like this. Have journalists changed, do you think, towards music over the years? Are they?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say there's not many great journalists out there anymore. The days of, Patti Smith started as a journalist.
Yep.
Lester Bangs, Greil Marcus, like all the great writers, Cream Magazine, Hit Parader, Circus, Rolling Stone. Like Rolling Stone, you look at it now compared to what it was when Hunter S. Thompson was doing features, and there, none of the, I don't know what it's like down there, but none of the newspapers up here anymore have dedicated entertainment sections, or for the most part, dedicated entertainment writers. A lot of it's just done on wire stories. So there's no one, sitting with 50,000 people reviewing the Coldplay show tonight, except for maybe one person from the Canadian press who will send it out to every newspaper. Papers aren't making money. Papers are basically dead. They're not selling here at all. They're all online. The physical papers are gone.
Yeah,
basically.
I was actually surprised here in Australia. We each state here in Australia has their own like independent music press. The deal where they drop it off at shops each Wednesday or whatever, and they're free to read. We actually still have those running. I was shocked. I haven't followed it for a while. And last night I did looking, and Beaten and Press are both still running here in Australia, still dropping off these papers. So maybe it's because here in Australia we're like 20 years behind. I don't know.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know if there is there still an Australian music business weekly letter or paper that comes out. There used to be one run by my friend John Woodruff back in the day.
I think so. I think there is.
Okay.
We still have the Australian, I think annually too, we still release the Australian, I forget the full name of it. It's like it's a really thick book. It's got all management and everything. It's like a compendium they put out every year. I think they still do that. So I think it's still free. I'm not sure. Can't quote me on that. All right. This one's a big one for me. So growing up as a musician, and I'm sure many people hear this, you hear the myth of how to get signed as a band. And most people grow up with this idea that people are sending in tapes and CDs, and there's some person sitting there in an office going, oh, today's CDs came in, let's put them all on and listen to them and sign somebody. Is it the case?
It was the case.
It was?
I used to listen. Yeah, I used to listen to 2,000 cassettes a year.
Wow.
That would come in unsolicited. There'd be two piles, the one that just came in, and then there'd be a pile from managers, agents, and lawyers that would take priority because I had relationships with those people, and they would get listened to first. But I would listen to every tape, and I was also seeing about 300 bands a year at that point. And I'd cross the country and just be in bars and checking out new bands. So that's the way it was. Nowadays, to the best of my knowledge, not having done it at a label,
sure,
it's about the numbers. It's what's your Spotify numbers? What are your YouTube numbers? How many people are on TikTok? It's not about discovering a band with, like, I would discover a band with no followers because there was nothing to follow back then. There was no internet, basically. And you would just see a band, but you could tell instinctively if they had the potential or not. And I think it's still very important for bands to get out there and play as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's,
the bands who are going to make it long run do have the 10,000 hours in the clubs and, getting to know their trade and their audience.
Look, I agree 100%. Bands still should be doing it hard and going through all the trials, because that's the roughage, isn't it? That's the thing that toughens you up for when the heavy shit comes.
It really does. It makes you play better. You can define your set list. You see what works, what doesn't work, what gets a response. You can meet the band. You can meet your audience at the merch table. You can engage with them. You can get their emails. You can get them on your socials. It's just about being out there, and you can sell merch. And merch is one of the few ways to make money straight ahead nowadays.
It's the way, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is.
And too, I think it really helps with egos. Because I'm so happy as a kid, I got to play at the Richmond Club on a Tuesday night in front of 3 people, right? Because it taught me to understand that it doesn't matter how many people are there. You got to perform like there's 10,000. You have to, because those 3 people are the best chance you've got of them opening their mouth to one more person. So the next gig, at least there's 4. So you really have to it really helps put your ego in check. And oh my God, I've only got if you're going down that path, well, only 3 people came. No, oh my God, 3 people came. There's a big difference.
When that happens, you have to be really nice to the club owner and the booker. And as you said, you've got to play like playing at an arena or outdoor at a festival. You've got to give it all, because you never know who those 3 people are. Number one, there could be a talent scout there. You know, I watched a band that I signed called the Headstones, who are still doing incredibly well. And I signed them in 1992. There was 6 of us in the bar the first night I saw them, but I knew there was something there. So you just never know who's going to be in the crowd too.
Absolutely. And, you know, most of the time it was my dad, but it's okay. He stopped coming after a while. Thankfully, it was embarrassing, but there it is. See, and also there was a time in my life, Cameron, where I was really disheartened with music and didn't really care. I felt like I'd been doing it for 30 years and banging my head against the wall. And by chance, I met possibly one of Australia's biggest promoters, Michael Gudinski. He's no longer with us anymore. And we became really good friends. Doesn't matter how, but you know, just chance meeting somehow, you just become friends. And the one thing I learnt from hanging out with him for quite a bit of time before he passed away, he would always roll up at my house or something with a cigar or something. We'd hang out and drink some wine, but he'd always roll up with a fucking CD in his pocket, some ratty old burnt CD in his pocket with no case on it, and he'd just say, "Here, chuck this on." And I'd chuck it on and go, "Who the fuck is this?" He goes, "Oh, just some band from WA that I'm thinking we're going to sign to Mushroom Records. What do you think?" I'm like, "Dude, it's in your back pocket. What the fuck? Is this how this works?"
Michael was a legend, very well respected around the world. What he did with Mushroom and as a promoter, he was an absolute legend in this industry.
Yeah, and you know, my time hanging out with him and friends, and the one thing, I never pushed my music to him in the whole time I knew him, right? Even though he knew I made music, I think that's a respect thing, just like, you're a friend. Don't take my music. But he knocked a lot of things into my head about publishing. Publishing your music compared to just releasing music through a record label. Can you help people who may not understand what the difference is between something like a record deal with a label or compared to a publishing deal, just so people understand the difference?
Well, a publishing deal is probably the most important thing. If you can sign one and control your publishing as well, because that's where you're going to get your money from sync, from airplay, from everything else. And your publisher can be your best friend as well, much like a record company, and probably even more so nowadays, where publishers might be giving you tour support and your label might not be. So there's a lot to learn about publishing, but it's something you should know, and you should never sign away your publishing. You can sign a publishing deal, but don't give away your publishing ever, because it's very important to have.
Absolutely. 100%. First, folks, trust me, if you get an offer or anything like this, any kind of contract, run it first through ChatGPT and ask for red flags. You actually have tools now. I know people are going to say, AI, but these are the tools that you actually can use this for. Super powerful to go through and find red flags and then take it to a solicitor and get it checked. Absolutely. You have the tools.
Yes, take it to a solicitor or a lawyer as well, and find a young and upcoming lawyer who's just started at an entertainment firm and say, "Can you do me a favor? Build a relationship," because you never know who that lawyer could end up being as well. With a great example, you know, being Chris Taylor in Canada, who started off as a lawyer, then ran his own firm, and then ran his own labels, and now is one of the biggest management companies in the world. You just never know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I'm trying to think of another myth. I'll come back to it. Are there any bands that have stood out for you that you, in your career with record labels, that you've helped make a name for themselves that you are extremely proud of and think, "Oh, wow, are there any bands you can throw off your head?"
Yeah, there's a few that you might know. The Proclaimers. I was the Chrysalis label manager in Canada and pretty well demanded that MCA put out their first album.
Wow.
Fell in love with them and I had a gold record with their first record, and by the time Sunshine Unleashed came out and Benny and June in America, they were a massive band worldwide, and because of 500 Miles. And that's a band that I still talk to this day. Our relationship goes back to the first time they came to Canada and played the Alma Combo, but still have a great relationship. And I feel very much a part of that success story. Sinead O'Connor was another one that I worked with from day one through Chrysalis, and had an amazing relationship with Sinead, and just multi platinum records through the years, and got to know her quite well as a person.
Massive loss.
Yeah.
Especially in today's times.
Especially
in today's times with what's happening, like we need a Sinead O'Connor.
I can only
right
imagine
now.
what she'd be. Oh yeah, I can only imagine what she'd be saying.
Yeah,
kind of scares the hell out.
She'd be losing her shit right now.
Yeah, but tragic story, but one of the most gifted artists I've ever worked with in my life. She was fantastic.
I'm going to play a track that you suggested. So, do you want to tell us about this band, Elephants and Stars?
Elephants and Stars, who are on DIT Community, which we will be talking about later. They're an older band from Hamilton, Ontario. Older meaning they're not in their 20s. They've been around for a while. They're just a really smart, lyrical band who are well-read. They know their history. The album title is actually taken from Richard Lloyd from Television's latest book, who they'll be playing with Richard Lloyd coming up in Toronto and Hamilton. Just a really smart, thinking person, rock and roll band.
Awesome. Well, let's have a listen. Folks in the chat, thank you for being here. We're going to come back and give you a shout out after this. So this is Elephants and Stars, and this is The Ceiling. You ready to oge, my friends? I just need to click a button over here and make sure we're all good. Awesome. Let's play it. This is The Ceiling, Elephants and Stars. Boom.
Does it look so good on you? It's a lasting
Boom. That was awesome.
And it wasn't backwards. There's actually 2 left-handed guitar players.
Oh, wow. Now that's very rare. That's I've been in bands with a lefty and a righty, and hey, there's something weird about that. So, folks, that was Elephants and Stars. I'll put a link in the description after the show if you want to go and check them out on YouTube. Pretty easy to find, Elephants and Stars. Don't know what their @ is, but all their music is found through there. They're a part of the DIT community. Before we jump in, we'll say hello to everybody who's come in. So, folks, if you've come in, just type something in the chat so I don't have to go find you. Write anything. You know the deal. Frank Terzo, hello. We've got Tremor Bear here. Jamie Lynn, hello. Rachel Loa. Thomas Christ. We've got Costa, Robbie Stingle, Doug Kidder. Who else is here? I said Tremor Bear. Denise is in the house. Fat Panda Cat, g'day to you. Gary Hubbs, Doug Kidder, what's going on? We've also got, as I scroll through and try and find other people I've seen here, Hugh Caldwell, hello to you, my friend. Pete Johns I saw earlier. Brad Example, what's going on? There's Brad. Sneaking in to say hello, Brad. I've got my eye on you. Thanks, Thomas, for posting the link for Elephants and Stars. You rock. View My Bits says, hi, Cam. I think View My Bits wrote something earlier. I can't find the comment. There's something about...
Yes, I saw something flash by and asked if I knew something about their band, but I haven't got my messages on because I'm doing this on my phone. So, but I saw a question right at the beginning, but I couldn't
I'm trying
quite
to find
catch it.
I'm trying to find it. Where is it? Here it is. I've got PC. Oh, man. I'm terrible at finding these things. My comments up here don't go back far enough. Frank, I can't actually find it. If you want to type it again,
okay.
Here it is. Cam Carpenter. I believe it was you who followed my band and had some interest in us in the early 90s. Well, that's expecting a lot from the early 90s. It's so weird.
Which band?
Yeah, which band is it? So weird to see you here. I think it's you anyway. You were the A&R guy in Mississauga. Is that how I say that?
Mississauga, but no, I was at MCA, but Mississauga is part of Toronto. But yeah, that's the right era for me doing A&R. So
yeah, what was your band?
Now I'm curious of the band.
I know. What was your band? What was your band? Tell us. He's come back here. Awesome. Let's. One of the things before we jump in to talk about DIT is advice for. All right, so currently, AI is a thing. It just is a thing, and Spotify are really pumping the shit out of it. It's interesting the way Spotify is going at the moment, because for the longest time Spotify hasn't made a profit. No profits, nothing at all, until last year. Last year was their first year they made profit. Funnily enough, last year was the same year that these AI bands started turning up. There's a lot of conspiracy theories going around at the moment that people think Spotify are botting their own platform to make money. If this is or isn't the case, are we in an uphill battle against AI? I'm not concerned for myself. I just feel like there's going to be a split at some point where Spotify ends up just playing AI music and everyone else goes to Deezer. It just feels like that's going to happen.
I haven't heard that they're playing a lot of AI stuff. Like, I use Spotify all the time. Like, I am constantly on Spotify discovering new bands that are real. I do a playlist every Friday of current releases I need to listen to. I've got about 150 of my own genre playlists as well. And I am on Spotify 5 or 6 hours a day, probably. So I haven't heard about them streaming, bot AI music. So I can't really comment.
Sure. View My Bit says we were called either Above Suspicion or Mule Skinner.
I think maybe Mule Skinner.
Sure.
Yeah. Or I had a question on LinkedIn the other day too from someone from that era as well. Do you remember my band? You showed some interest.
Wow.
But yeah, sorry I didn't sign either of you. But you can only sign so many.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. I'm befuddled by how the industry works these days. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about DIT Community. What inspired you to do this? First of all, what is it? What is DIT Community?
Okay, it wasn't me who came up with it. It was
Sure.
Daryl Hers, who's the founder of Indie Week. DIT is Do It Together. It launched in February of 2023 as a platform for independent artists to meet, to learn, to communicate, to take part in seminars, webinars. A lot of this was post-COVID. Indie Week was a live conference in Toronto and then in Ireland and in England annually, where we showcased where Daryl showcased independent artists from around the world, to agents, to managers, to bookers, to other bands, to publicists. And then COVID hit, and it was just like, okay, now Indie Week's going to go away, because I'm sure just like in Australia, like all the pubs were closed here. So we had no venues to play. And as opposed to shutting down Indie Week after Daryl had put so much into it, he decided to go online, and we would take the conference part of Indie Week and put it online. And we did that, and he built 3 other conferences: Screen by Screen, which is Technology Music Pro Summit, which is the high-end music industry, and Indie Week. And then he decided, because it was working so well online, why don't we build a social network? There's a lot of social networks, but let's make it exclusively for those in the music industry. Let's make it free. We will do webinars every week. We have a studio session every Monday with a studio owner, John Woodland from Vancouver, who talks about tech and how to record and how to do things yourself. We do a monthly bit on sync licensing, where you can make a lot of money. We have industry veteran Ted Cohen from Warner Music in the States, and an absolute record company legend and technology legend as well, who has great guests on every week. We do demo sessions so you can get your music heard. We do artist interviews, seminars. So it's just a growing community for independent artists around the world to get to know each other, to find out, if an Australian band was coming up to Canada, where should we play? How big's you could ask the simple questions. Like, touring Canada is like touring Australia. Population is very much spread out, and it's not like touring New York State, where you can have a different gig, an hour drive away. But you can meet other bands. There's artists collaborating on music together. It's just growing really rapidly. There's 4,000 people on it around the world. So that's what DIT is right now.
Wow. Look, when Brad told me about it, because Brad reached out, of course, and said, hey, you should check out this thing I've signed up for. Of course, my alarm bells always go off, because I've been in the music industry, like we discussed. I'm like, hang on a minute. All right, what's the catch? What is the catch? Because there always feels like there needs to be a catch. And I downloaded, I created an account, and then went over to the website, and then was like, oh, there's an app as well. So
yes. Android and Apples.
Yeah, and it is smooth and it works beautifully. I'll come back to the app, but I guess, people are going to look at this and go, well, what do you get from this? Like, that's the question people are going to ask, because obviously with Facebook, people say Facebook's free, but it's not, because you're the product. Is there any catches behind this people need to be aware of?
No, it's just a great place to collaborate and network, and to, if you're a young musician, you tune into John Woodland and you find out studio techniques. If you want to know about sync, we've got Lionel Lodge talking about sync and placement. We've got great guests in music and technology on different webinars all the time. It's all there for you right now. So, there's a company called Dropout Entertainment, Jesse Reed, who interviews, 4 artists every month as well. So you can just say, hey, I'd like to submit to be interviewed by Jesse and Dropout Entertainment. So it's just, and to get exposure for yourself as well, and just talk about your gigs and talk about what's going on in the music industry, talk about what's going on with AI and Spotify. We post articles. There's all sorts of things you can see there. Yeah, so it's just a great free community.
It really is. Like, and I'm not trying to trap you or anything like that. I'm just putting this stuff out there because people automatically think, and I've done, shows on this kind of stuff. And I was blown away rolling around and like all this week and last week, I just every day I get a message saying there's not every day, there's a webinar happening. I've watched a bunch of them, just gone, holy shit, this information is so valuable. Like it's just, yeah. And the amount of artists on there already is just really, really cool. I think it's fantastic. So I'll show people a little bit more as we go on.
Yeah, and if you miss, obviously with time differences around the world, if you can't join us, Wednesdays at 4 Eastern North American time for TEDit, then, within 2 days, the replay will be up there. So if there was a guest that he had on that you'd be interested in their perspective in the music business, you can watch the replay.
Yeah, absolutely. And so folks just don't think, like, as Cameron said, don't think that this is just, to go and watch stuff. This is a place to share your stuff with people as well, like-minded musicians, and think outside of YouTube. I know we have a very robust, super, super, super supportive network here across YouTube and a bunch of channels. And I'm always wanting people to think outside of YouTube and maybe get a little bit more outside of YouTube, because it can become, like anything, a bit of an echo chamber in YouTube, that we're all telling each other that we're all fucking good. And, go and share it with some other people and get some other opinions on your music. You may get some pointers and tips that'll help your music get better, right?
Questions. It can be, what kind of bass rig are you using on the road? Or if you need a bus in Canada, who do I get it from? Or have you played the States? What's the story with visas?
Oh,
any
wow.
information is there for the asking. So if you know the right people, and you get as much out of it as you put in. If you just want to sit there and read it, that's fine. But if you want to collaborate and you want to talk to other musicians or managers or agents, you can reach out to them.
Yeah, look, that is the thing. I was blown away by the access to people. I'm just going to bring up here. So I've already got a couple of people I'm following, and I think I already messaged Brad and called him a turd. So that I'm using this very well already. But I don't think I can zoom any closer, can I? No, it's just out of screen. But even up the top here, I was just like scrolling through up the top. You can see up in the top corner. I'm like, oh my God, there's heaps of people in here I actually have heard of. What is going on? Can we get members, explore, top near you? So you've got all this stuff that you can go through. And I love this, right? So everything's like put into these
cool
sections of music festivals, new members, music conferences. So everything's broken up into these parts: booking agents, marketing and advertising, distribution, artist management. So branding, this is all stuff I talk about here on this show, about branding, the colors, the logos, the shit that's important that people are going to look at first off and go, what is going on here? You've got no branding. Everything looks shit. How important is branding these days, in your opinion, Cameron?
It's a tough question, because I saw a band on Saturday night, and I could tell that's all they were thinking about. For everything that they were wearing, to the color of their microphones, to just everything was style over substance. It can be a negative, but you can also, do a Bryan Adams and go on stage in a white shirt and a black leather jacket. That's the image. It always has been. As long as you put on a fresh one before you go on stage, so at least you feel like you're dressing up to go on stage. It's a mental mindset. Image is important, but you can over stylize and put people off, or put me off anyways.
It feels almost like, I think image is important, but I'm not going to go to the point of, I don't have the resources behind me to go absolutely crazy. It almost feels like the commercial radio industry is more focused on that kind of stuff these days. With your Taylor Swifts and all these kind of people, I don't know. I look at that stuff and just go, wow, everything just seems so perfectly produced, and it's a package. But a lot of that's not going to appeal to like your bedroom recording artist.
Yeah, no, I was talking more about physical imagery as opposed to the whole package.
Sure,
stuff. Just what you look like on stage.
Yeah.
But of course, take someone like Coldplay. Like, they have a very defined image on stage. You're going to see colorful little things on their trousers, and the piano's going to be all painted, and it's worked. They're playing 4 nights in Toronto, 50,000 people a night. And whether you love or hate Coldplay, number one, it started with great songs. then they slowly built and developed their imagery. So
View My Bits has put up a question. I don't know why my questions aren't working today. Have record deals changed significantly considering what you said about people being able to mostly do it themselves?
I think they have. I don't think they sign deals like we used to. We'd have to build in budgets for, recording at huge studios because you couldn't do it yourself. You could spend $150,000 on a video and do 3 of those and tour support. So, a signing deal could be worth, close to $1 million, and that was for Canada. But the important thing to remember was every penny that the record company spent on you was recouped at some point. If they spent $1 million, you owed them that $1 million.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of smaller deals now because people are coming with basically finished product, and you can do a video on an iPhone and everything else. But what's happening now though is the majors are buying all the indies. So the indies are developing the bands, then the majors are signing the indie.
Very interesting times. I'm a big fan of Bandcamp because it's the ultimate way to sell your stuff and actually get some real money back. But we noticed a couple of days ago that it looks like Bandcamp's changing the way they pay out the money that you make now. It used to be through PayPal, and it looks like now they're doing it through Stripe. And shocking turn of events for me, because like seeing that PayPal was so good because they would take their cut and PayPal would, but I'm not sure. It just feels like they're making this move to make a bit more money from us. I mean, again, Bandcamp is, I think, now owned by Epic Games. So I'm not sure who owns them now. I'm pretty sure it's Epic Games. They took them over, and they don't give a shit about musicians. They just want to make more money.
Right.
It's shocking.
Do they have Bandcamp? Do they have Bandcamp Fridays in Australia?
Yes, world over. So
that's worldwide.
But that's where it's going to be different, because now they're saying Bandcamp Friday, you get to keep all the money. But now to pull that money out, you've got to go through Stripe, which is going to be a credit card charge. Ooh, yeah. So there's
interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good thing. I don't like that. But I saw in Australia we don't have the Stripe option yet. So maybe this is only a American and Canada thing, because it's definitely happening in Canada.
I don't even know what Stripe is, in all honesty.
It's pretty much just a payment method. It goes through credit cards, kind of thing. So, this is cool too. Members near me. Now, when I first loaded this up, Cameron, I was like, I live in Australia. There's going to be no one near me. And look at this, 25. I've got currently 25 artists near me that I can just click on.
Fantastic.
This is a worldwide thing. This is, again, I'm just going to say it. I'm always dubious, but the more and more I plowed through this, the more and more I'm like, holy shit, there's some really good artists in here. Like this is attracting really cool artists. Did you think, like, when you came up with this idea, did you think this was going to take off? Or is it taking off the way you want it? Or is it, do you want to get this out to more people?
Well, once again, it wasn't me, so I can't take credit for it. It's Daryl Hers.
Yep.
But I think it was a slow rollout at first, but it's just been snowballing lately. And Daryl's been traveling the world, going to conferences everywhere and meeting new people, and they're expanding it to their artists, and he's meeting new artists. I'm meeting new artists all the time. So it's just steamrolling now, and it's just getting proportionally so much bigger. It's fantastic. And I love the fact that, there's 25 artists near you. That's amazing. That's great news to hear.
It's global. And either other stuff too that I was going through that I really, really love. I'm a big, lover of this kind of stuff about our health and well-being as musicians. So on YouTube, there's so many videos on fucking the right gear to have, all the same bullshit, and hardly anyone focuses on things like health and well-being and like getting enough sleep and like not fucking yourself up and like, you got a gig, go to bed early the next night, things like that. But people don't think that you're a vocalist. Like, your voice is the instrument. health and well-being is absolutely paramount to your success of maintaining being in a band and performing.
Yeah. It's always been a big part of our Indie Week conferences as well. There's always mental health and well-being discussions, and, you know, just taking care of yourself. Mental health is so important. It's a hard way to make a living, being a musician and being on the road and not getting enough sleep and not having the right food and being stressed, and just there's so many different things that it's such an important part of you keeping it together to have a career.
Or obsessing over a mix for 2 weeks that you really should have put out a week ago.
Exactly. You know, I'm not a technical person. And as I said, not a musician. I'm not, 99% of the people are not going to hear that mistake. They're not going to hear that one-off note. They're more likely to hear it if it's like just over auto tunes. It's like, that sounds phony. But if there's a mistake, just roll with it. Go with your gut. Lots of mistakes and lots of great songs.
Thank you. That's what I think people need to hear. I really, even I need to hear that too. Like, the thing is, I think most musicians have come up against this when they're recording music. A lot of the times you make a mistake and then you listen back to it and go, that sounds awesome. Like how? Like even vocals, there's been times I've done a double track of vocals and the second track was not right, but fuck me, it sounds great. Leave it.
It's real.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is the AI thing. We can sit here as musicians and be worried till the cows come home about AI, or we can just be imperfect and continue the way we've always done it, which is going to not sound like AI music.
Or you could say to AI, make one of those notes flat for me. Thanks.
Do you think it would be able to do it? I don't even think it would do it.
I'm sure it could.
It could, but would it? That's the thing.
Well, it has no thought of this is going to make it worse or anything. It's just very clinical. So if you say do that, it'll do it.
We made a song, me and my friend, the other day, and yeah, we put about an hour into it on AI on Suno, and just to be dicks and see if we could make something that's professional. And then we pulled it all apart from the song it created. We pulled down all the stems, put them in Logic, and mess with them. And good Lord, yeah, very very scary stuff. Has there been a webinar on DIT that you've seen that has stuck out for you? Something you could recommend somebody go and see straight away when they sign up?
I think any of the Ted Cohen ones are really interesting just for his background. So, and a lot of the ones are from our conferences as well. Most of those are up from past Indie Weeks and things like that. So to pick one would be really difficult off the top of my head because they're all educational and all worthy of your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Just that there might be. So I'm just going through the page here. Where are we? I'm getting a bit lost here. Let me bring this up. My screen's gone a bit blank. I need to run my ad. So let's do that while I'm trying to catch up with this here while everything's running a bit slow. So, folks, we've got a sponsor as always, and I just will run the ad for DistroKid. Give us a second. I love it when stuff just stops. I love live TV. It's always so exciting. It is like playing a gig virtually. You never know if the lead's going to break or fucking whatever. All right. Just give us a sec, folks, and we'll play this ad when it pops up for me finally. Look at this, what I'm working with. I'm working with a search that's not searching. Come on, baby, let's do this. Here we go. So here's a word from our sponsor today. This is DistroKid. Let's do it. This presentation is proudly sponsored by DistroKid. Introducing DistroKid, your ultimate music distribution solution. For just $29.99 a year, DistroKid empowers you to release unlimited tracks on all major music platforms worldwide, including Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, and so many more. Plus, use my link distrokid.com/VIP/Jade Starr and get 7% off your first year. You'll also keep 100% of your royalties and gain access to valuable tools like instant verification on Spotify and detailed revenue analytics. Don't let your music go unheard. Join DistroKid today and take your music career to the next level. Thank you, DistroKid, for sponsoring today's presentation. Absolutely. Thank you so much, DistroKid, for all you do, not only for me to release my music, but other people who do this. Where are we? Thomas has got that link there. And we're all back. I got you. My iPad's doing circles at the moment. I don't know what's... Today has been a strange day for technology. So what is the hope for this going forward? Is there a hope for global domination with the DIT community?
I hope so. I hope it becomes like the go-to place for independent musicians around the world. That would be fantastic. That would be the ultimate goal, I imagine.
Yeah, look, I think it's awesome. I've been addicted to it all week and watched already, I think I watched six webinars. Really, really good stuff, really good information. So if you haven't already signed up, folks, the link is in the description. Thomas has been putting it up all day today. Here it is. Here, the DIT Do It Together community. And is there any expansion on their horizons? Anything that you tell us a bit about Indie Week, because I keep seeing this pop up here. Is Indie Week still a thing that is going on?
Indie Week is still, Indie Week still goes on. It now takes place during a conference and a live festival called Venue by Venue. When post-COVID, when we shut down Indie Week as the live thing in Toronto, Daryl hooked up a deal with the City of London, which is the only UNESCO music city in Canada, and they have a great community there, and it's about 2 hours from Toronto, that he started Venue by Venue. So there was 50 local bands playing 6 venues, and then we'd have Indie Week presentations and conferences during the day. Last year, we opened it up to bands from Ontario, the province, or AKA the state of Ontario, as you'd say in Australia with your states. And this year, and actually applications close tomorrow, it's open to artists from across Canada. So it'll be 3 days. Oh, there you go. All the information's right up there in front of us.
I'm on it. I'm slowly getting back on it.
Yeah, so it's a great live festival with a conference element added to it as well, which is Indie Week.
So, hey, if you're in Canada, and I know we have a lot of Canadian artists here, they're like a cancer. We can't get rid of them. They just keep growing.
Really?
Yeah. And they all stick together too. They're like a gaggle of Canadians. And they're taking over our little community here. So, hey, Canadians, here you go. You've got until tomorrow, it looks like. And so there's an application fee. Your chance to join 50 plus artists from across the country and beyond, the 3 days of live showcases, networking, career-focused programming, all designed to elevate independent music and create real industry opportunities. And there is a lot of this stuff that you will find on here. So I can't recommend it enough to go and sign up, folks, because it's just, the bee's knees. I'm digging it. I've actually been restored faith in these kind of things. Brad says, I signed up almost the first week. Big D has been close to me for years. He's the real deal. Amazing, wonderful guy. Daryl was our manager. He's amazing and I love him. Well, you have to love him because he had to put up with you, Brad. And I don't know how he did that. So...
So did I when Brad was in the Inner City Surfers back in the day when Daryl managed him. I did some PR for them when they played shows around Toronto at the Bovine Sex Club, the CBGBs of Canada.
So we've all seen his junk. He does like to get naked. And when he was here, like every morning, Cameron, I'd wake up and he'd be naked in my lounge room. I'm like, Brad, it's not a gig. What's going on? I wish that happened.
They were a crazy band back in the day.
You know, they did a reunion recently too. That was pretty cool. So there's that. All right. I think we're going to wrap up today. It's a shorter episode today. Folks, so you've got multiple ways to get involved in the DIT community. right? You can join up on the website. Links are in the description. Thomas has been putting them all up. You can do it on your web browser. You can download the Android app. You can download the iOS app like I have here. Set notifications, and every time there's a webinar, anything that comes up, I get a message on my iPhone saying there's something to watch. So super easy. You don't have to sit there and follow up on things. You're going to get notifications if you choose. There's so much to love about this website, so much to love. And, you know, one of the things for me that my motto here on the channel is we all rise together. And this is perfectly, it's set out from the beginning to do it together, to get information from people who've done it, lived it, and living it now, and going to be living it. So, AKA you guys, it's just fantastic.
It's DIY, it's DIY together,
yeah,
basically, as opposed to doing it yourself. Do it together.
It really is, and you know the difference. Just saying, from my experience, a lot of these things you join up and it feels cold, and it feels like there are people that don't care. And straight away, as soon as I signed in, I was like, holy shit, I feel like people care. I feel like I'm amongst musicians and people that are striving to move you forward instead of trying to take you for a ride. And that's a very big, rare thing in these days in the industry. So we're going to, I've got a last question I hit everybody with, but we're going to go out today with another artist from the community, from the DIT community, and that is Harley Olivia. Do you want to tell us about Harley Olivia, what you know of?
Her is just a great young artist who works incredibly hard. She's fantastic on socials. They're great live. They played Indie Week in the past. They played venue by venue last year, and just keeps writing better songs. And I just think she's an artist to watch, and just a great young artist.
View My Bits again has asked, can the site help for getting sync licensing?
There is, once a month, we do sync seminars with Lionel Lodge, who will explain how to do it. It won't necessarily, you might find sync agents on there and make the connections. It won't, the site is not going to go out and get you a sync license, but the information that you might need will be there.
I think that's one of the things too. I think out of all this AI nonsense, I think that's probably the place that is going to be affected the most with sync licensing. It's so easy to make background music using AI with no vocals and stuff. And I think people are already dealing with that and the invasion of AI. It's for a long time, people were making good money doing sync licensing. And then AI is hopefully not going to ruin that for a lot of people.
Well, the right song in the right film or the right commercial still resonates. My son just did a Mazda car campaign. He's an ad exec with using the Arkells music, and it worked incredibly well because people knew the song as opposed to a piece that was created by AI. So it just fit. It fit the focus of what they were doing, and the band actually drove Mazdas, so they were, well, one of the guys did, so they were quite happy. It was a good fit. So hopefully we'll see more of that in the future as well. Still, the right song in the right movie, or the right. I'm sure you could create it on AI, but when you hear, at the end of Apocalypse Now, the end by the Doors, that wouldn't have worked with anything else.
Yes. I'm seriously, I want to get into doing scoring for films. For the last few weeks, I've been trying to score so much and putting videos on and trying to score to them and watch. So I'm going to try and use it to find out any information.
It worked out. It worked out well for someone I used to work with a lot, Trent Reznor. So I actually signed the deal, their Canadian record deal, through TBT Records, and Trent and Atticus are probably the two biggest film scorers in the world right now. So.
It's really interesting with film scoring too. I've been watching some stuff on it, and I watched a really cool video a few weeks ago about how the industry of scoring films has changed, where it used to be all about melody and everything was big melodies through the 50s all the way to the 70s, and these days it's all sound and just noises and sound creation, like, modeling sound, and it may be just like, hitting a piece of tin and then putting that through a massive reverb. It's definitely changing. And since I watched that, every film I've been watching, I'm hearing it. Even yesterday, I went to see Superman at the opening yesterday. And even through that, you've got the score through it, but there were so many parts of the soundtrack that were just like, I wonder how they made that. It sounds like an iron drum being hit with something. Like, I'm really starting to notice this a lot more.
Interesting.
And the Superman film, for anyone who wants to know, it's good. Is
it as good as the first one? Because that's what I think. That's what I've read about. It sort of reverts back to that era of Superman.
All of it was really good. I enjoyed all of it. There was a couple of lines in it that sucked. It was just unnecessary for me. Like, most people know I'm a left-leaning voter or whatever. There was a line in it that about Lex Luthor, and it cut to a guy out in the street who went, "This is something conservatives and the left can both agree on." I was like, why? Why did you put that in there? Like, it just didn't need to be there. And I can see it's going to get people fucking upset and go, "Oh, George woke." And it's like, it just didn't need to be there. Just let Superman be Superman. Let him be kind.
Exactly.
But it did go back to the whole Christopher Reeve. He was very kind and not questioning himself like in the last few films about if humans are worth his time. Yeah, it was good. It's worth seeing. All right, final question. We'll get out of here. Firstly, I want to thank you so much for just the time that you've given here today. I think it's very valuable for myself and hopefully others watching. The final question I ask everybody on this show, everybody gets this one. If someone was considering becoming creative, when would you suggest they start?
Age of 5.
5?
Yes.
All right. So
I think, at that point, if you have talent as a dancer or anything, if you're artistic, I think, and if it's nurtured by those who are bringing you up, I would say like the age of 5 or 6, it can be developed from there.
So if you haven't done anything by 6, forget it. You're out. It's over.
You can go to double digits.
Awesome stuff. All right. The folks, the website is here. Join it. Join the DIT Do It Together community now. Go and do it. It's free. There's lots of great information for you. So, it can't hurt you. That is the thing. It can only give you more options for your music, more ideas, and a better understanding of
more connections.
More connections. And look, we lost MySpace years ago, and it was probably one of the biggest losses to the music industry, in my opinion, because everybody moved to Facebook, and now every Facebook page looks bland and boring and the same, and has no one stands out anymore. And this, to me, is like one of those MySpace moments. Jump on and share, connect, and get those juices flowing for whatever you want to do creatively. We're going to go out and play. So once again, thank you for coming on. Is there anything you want to say before you get out of here?
Just what a joy it's been, Jade, talking to you and meeting your audience. And thank you very much for taking the time and having me on. If anyone does join DIT, shoot me a DM and we'll start a conversation. Say hello and say, hey, you saw the show and love to be here. And thanks for sending the chats our way. They're coming up in 2 weeks to play 3 nights in Toronto again. So.
Awesome. Do it, folks. There's good people who have good knowledge out there. And this is... Cameron is one of them. He's done it all. He's written for it all. He's signed massive bands. He's done it all, and he's got some knowledge that will help you. So don't be afraid to ask. That's how I got this channel off the ground. That's how I get so many demos of apps to review. I just email people and ask. And if they say no, they say no. Don't be afraid to ask. People are willing to help and answer questions and help you get to where you want to go. But remember, you've got to want to get there yourself, yeah? Put in the hard work. All right, so we're going to go and play this cool track by Harley Olivia. It's called You're Not Ready. Folks, coming up on the channel tomorrow, we've got a demo happening for Soundbox. So if I can bring this up, Soundbox have updated their brand new their app Soundbox. They've got a new sound pack in there. Oh my God, friends, it is awesome. You're not going to want to miss that. Also coming up here on the channel on Saturday US UK time is, of course, the weekly song challenge. If I can find the email, you guys know the drill. Every week I put 4 genres of music in one of the posts on YouTube. You guys pick the genre of music and I have to make a song in 1 hour live on the channel in front of you all. And you all know how that goes most weeks. It's a disaster, but come and watch. Who knows what it's going to be this week. All right, let's do it. Oh, and this week too, we are on the rant. We're talking about MIDI and how important MIDI has been for musicians. And if you don't understand MIDI, we'll walk you through it and help you understand the MIDI a little bit more, because it can be a bit confronting for, people who've been playing real guitars their whole life. That what's this MIDI thing? All right, this is Harley Olivia and You're Not Ready. Folks, remember, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. Stay awake. And we all rise together and all that jazz. Let's Oge. This is Harley Olivia. Please stay on the line, Cameron, so I can say goodbye to you at the end of the show. And I'll see you then. Let's do it. Boom.
You begged me to tell you just what I was thinking. Now you won't look at me. You tore off my dress and my heart is now sinking. Now you won't look at me. Dirt in my hair and my fingers are bleeding, but you will look at me. Ripped out my heart with your hands are still beating, but you take down without a path, don't leave me dying here. You're not ready, not ready. You can't handle me. You're not ready, not ready. You can't handle me. When you look me in the eyes, it took us both for surprise. Who could ever know? Don't let me go, the time is now. I wanna fall. Do you know how? Let me take you home. Lost in my thoughts, should I try to endure this? Will you ever see? I won't pretend that your coldness is charming. It's just like empathy. I tried to tell you just how I was feeling. This is not real love. Now I'm a mess looking up at a ceiling. I took too long. This is wrong. Just want you out of here. You're not ready, not ready. You can't handle me. You're not ready, not ready. You can't handle me. When you look me in the eyes, it took us both for surprise. Who could ever know? Don't let me go, the time is now. I wanna fall. Do you know how? Let me take you home. I'm not waiting, 'cause I'm bleeding. You're just a ghost, cold and lingering, stuck here, broken. I've got to get away. You're not ready, not ready. You can't handle me. You're not ready, not ready. You can't handle me. When you look me in the eyes, it took us both for surprise. Who could ever know? Don't let me go, the time is now. I wanna fall. Do you know how? Let me take you home. Stay here, broken. I've got to get
Thank you, folks. And I want to thank DistroKid for sponsoring today's show. You guys rock. We'll see you soon. Let's Oge.